back. And we're moving into our second conversation for today. And just in case you missed the buzz, it is going to be World Bee Day soon. Of course, we are joined by representatives of the Belize Marketing and Development Corporation. We have Silvero Marin, who is the administrator, and we have Mario Howe, who's the focal point for beekeeping in the Ministry of Agriculture. And they're going to be telling us all about the importance of bees. And of course, we love them for their honey, but also what the importance of bees in the ecosystem is as well. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Morning, Melanie.
So, I think it's rather interesting. We don't want to think about bees very often. And if we see them around, we prefer them not to be. But it is so critically important, the role they play, not just in our ecosystem, but I think in the functions across the planet. So let's talk about that. Let's start with you, Silvero.
Yes, Marlene. Well, good morning, Marlene and Tabin, and good morning to the audience.
Yes.
Yes, indeed, as you have mentioned, bees are very important to the entire food production system.
Yeah.
Many a times they're overlooked, and their services go beyond the sweet honey that they produce, but rather they're responsible for the production of the food that we consume. And that is one of the main services that we need to appreciate them for, because their value through that service is immense.
Yeah. And explain to us how. I think I once read that that if we would eliminate bees, that you think of all the roles they play in pollination and how it ensures, as you said, food production. Break it down for us. Am I hearing?
Right.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes. So the whole system, the whole agro-productive system, particularly the horticultural aspect of agriculture, is heavily dependent on the bees. And food production in general depends on the pollination service of the bees. So that if the bees would go extinct, there would be no other insect that would be able to replace this service that the bees provide.
Yeah.
And at least they would not be able to replace them quickly enough to be able to actually help us satisfy the needs of the population. And so that puts us, the human race, at risk as well. So we depend heavily on these insects.
Yeah. That's not something we'd like to think about very often, right?
Right, and it's often overlooked.
Yeah.
And Mario, perhaps you can chime in and speak a little bit about the Ministry of Agriculture and their interest or work in beekeeping.
Yes, good morning. First of all, I would like to thank for this opportunity to join us to share about beekeeping in Belize. I think beekeeping is something that the Ministry of Agriculture has been promoting ever since. As we know, we used to have a fairly good industry in Belize in the early 80s. Now we used to export a lot of honey to Europe and the US and other countries. But we know that the beekeeping industry has suffered a major downfall recently with a lot of setbacks. Firstly, we have the arrival of the Africanized bees in 1987 that gave a devastating effect to the industry, where we are not, at that time, we are not ready to face the challenges that the Africanized bees that brought to Belize.
Why was that?
Nevertheless, I think, yeah.
Sorry,
Hello?
just explain to us why the introduction of Africanized bees had a bad effect on the existing population.
Yes, at that time, I think most of the bees that was managed at that time is a type of bees that is very docile, no?
Okay.
It is called European bees. It doesn't require a lot to manage the bees, no? It's basically just to put a veil and a hat over your head and you start to work the bees. But the Africanized bees, when they come into Belize, they are more of a type of a defensive type of bees that requires more technique to manage the bees. And that is the fact that our people are not ready to manage the bees. No? And it just totally overtook the industry, and all our bees just get defensive, and the fear to manage the bees then is there, no? So that our beekeeper just abandon the bees. They don't have that technique to keep on working the bees, no?
Oh, that's interesting. So one of the first challenges we faced was when we had this aggressive
Yes.
type of bee in the country, and so people didn't want to face the potential dangers of working with them.
That is the thing, the danger that the bees pose to the public. No?
Yeah.
Well, the public in general, because people tend to have a bad misconception of bees that there's a killer bees, but it's not really. It's a killer bees though. It's just like they are more defensive type of bees, and these type of bees work more. They work harder. They collect more honey than the regular bees that we have first. No? So that put us that we have to put more techniques to manage these bees. We have to invest a little bit more in the protection, how to work the bees, and as well how the setting of the operation that we need all to do all of those changes.
Yeah.
But in all of those, our ministry did a lot of work in trying to train our beekeepers to try to manage bees. That is the way. That's why we are here now, still promoting this very important small industry that we have right now.
And what other things have impacted this industry, as you said? So the first was the entrance of the Africanized bees. What else has led to the decline?
Yes. Firstly, as I said, we have the Africanized bees, and then, as you know, there are other challenges like when it comes to pests and disease. No. Then we have a pest that is called the varroa mite, which people never did expect that this type of pests live with the bees, but it does affect the bees. No. If you don't do certain thing to treat it, then you could reach to the point of losing your bees. No.
Okay.
That is that is the first one that we had after the Africanized bees. Then in 2015 we have the arrival of the small hive beetle that pose also a threat to the industry. At this moment we have a real threat to the industry, but eventually I think if people doesn't lead to the best management practices of the RB operation, that will lead to a total loss as well. Again, that is in terms of pests. Now we could talk also as climate change. No, climate change too has impact to the industry as well. We have seen sudden changes in weather pattern in previous years. That does affect honey production as well.
Yeah. Now, there has to be, as you start off, I'm just thinking to myself, there must be a big market for honey. I'm a big honey fan. And anytime I travel and I see, these bottles on the grocery stores and they say organic, I know it's not going to taste anything like our honey home in Belize. Is it an untapped market, one that has more potential for growth, but people just need to learn techniques as to how to work with the bees safely?
I think our honey, when it comes to what you're saying, organic, well, we don't call it really organic, but I think we could. It's most like I would call it eco-friendly produce, no?
Okay.
because it's for doing certain organic type of honey, it goes to a certification, and we don't go through that procedure, no? Yes, yet, but it's something that can be done, no?
Yeah.
But our honey that is being produced is really, really, I would say, pure, pure honey that is being produced in the jungles of Belize, no?
Yes. Yes.
And
And we-
Silvero, perhaps you can shed a little bit of light on what the Belize Marketing and Development Corporation does to support the industry and the ministry's efforts to kind of develop beekeeping.
Well, Davin, we've been working in partnership with the Ministry of Agriculture since 2017 in this specific area of the agricultural sector, no, in developing the beekeeping small industry. The whole point for us is for us to open up the opportunities not only for the local market but also for the export market for our product. Belize has a lot of protected areas that can be used to actually produce this this product, and it can be marketed. It can have a unique trademark in the international market as protected areas honey or naturally produced honey, and so that is the area that we're working on. It is extensive in that we are working in the development of the entire value chain, and in doing that, we have focused primarily on the market side, implementing traceability components, looking at the standards that are required to access various markets, and also standardizing the practices in the production of the product. We know that beekeeping was practiced by a lot of beekeepers who did not implement good practices. That is the use of the proper equipment, the food grade bottling, even the actual processing of the honey requires specific good practices to be carried out. And so those are the elements that we've been promoting, and we've been promoting the development of the entire value chain. And it's not only with the Ministry of Agriculture, but it's also with other partners in development.
Yeah. Can you answer the same question I asked earlier in terms of the potential for growth?
Absolutely, there is huge potential. We see the opportunity, and that is why we have a lot of focus on developing this industry, because we know that it can become one of those major income earners, particularly for the small farmers and the beekeepers. You know that they are not only producing honey, but rather in the actual process of honey production, they're also helping us to conserve. You know, conservation is a big part of Belize, and so we see this as one of the key agronomic practices that goes hand in hand with conservation. And so the potential is there for us to access the export market, first of all through the tourists coming in, because every time a tourist comes in and they take some honey back home, that is considered an export.
Yes.
You know, and so when they're home and they're promoting the local Belizean products, that also opens up the market for our local products. And the whole dream of the team is to eventually be able to access the formal export markets, not only for bulk honey, because there's a lot of war, there's a big war going on with that, but rather in honey that is more specialized and accessing niche markets like those of conservation related markets, and also those that are perhaps more in the area of natural and organic.
Nice. And what about our bee population? How are we doing there?
Okay, in terms of what our 2020 production figure stands at a little bit over 115,000 pounds of honey that we produced last year. No? And that is, compared to me, it's very low, but I think the opportunity is there for expansion is out there. That is why the Ministry of Agriculture is focusing in expanding this industry now by recruiting new people to join the industry. Especially we are focusing now in getting young people like youths and women to join the industry.
Yes.
Because most of our people that deals with bees right now are people that are over 50 years old. So the aging population of the industry is phasing out. That is why the Ministry of Agriculture is trying to recruit new people to get back into the industry so that we could expand this vital industry.
Yeah. How do you help them overcome the fear? Because I'll be honest with you, I'm looking at the images of bees and I get nervous, even though you've told me there are safe ways and practices to manage them.
Yes.
It's that first fear that people have to overcome.
Yes, I think it's a approach that we normally, it's like right now we are now recruiting people, but we are going to go and get them through a phase of training. They have to go through a process of training.
Yes.
Where they will be in class and practical approach of training. So they will be interacting with bees as well. After that, I think they will be more at a stage that they will be more willing to getting close to the bees, though.
Yeah. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I think you mentioned earlier that we refer to bees as killer bees. But
Yes.
that's I mean, if you're allergic, that's a different story. But on average,
Yes.
People
Yes,
can get stung and be fine.
Yes, allergic is something. No? I think if you're allergic to it, then one sting could be fatal. No? But you could get if you're not allergic, then you could get as many sting, but that does nothing to you. No?
Yeah, yeah. Now, what are some of the areas that you're looking at to get more young people engaged? Because this is a time, I mean, our young people are so innovative. They're so interested in being entrepreneurs. And here is this industry that you both are clearly saying has potential, that people can make money and maybe even at some point tap into that export market if they take up beekeeping. So how do we get the young people on board?
Okay. Right now, as I speak, now we have a project that is going. We have call for proposal to recruit new people in. I think it's a project that is being funded by the Caribbean Development Fund. So at the moment, we have done a pre-selection of 100 participants to join our program. No, which if all of them are successful, then we'll have a new cadre of people that will be joining the industry in the near future. No?
Nice.
But when you talk about the areas that we are looking, I think it's all across the country, but we are targeting the rural community, knows that where we have more potential. No?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
If I may add, Marlene.
Yes.
Also, when we talk about the areas where we expect to see the youths coming in with their innovation, it's not only in the production aspect, that is one of the key elements, but there is so much room within the beekeeping value chain. There is also value addition that is not tapped into as yet into the country. There are cosmetics that can be developed. There are so many other products that can be developed from honey and from bee products. There's medicines. There is a series of beauty care products that can be developed.
True.
Bees are not only good at producing honey, but they're also good at producing wax and other products from the hive that then can be harnessed to actually produce other byproducts.
That's so true.
So there is a lot of room for development. I've been looking at what the beekeepers are doing, and there's a lot of innovation already that we are seeing. Simply with their packaging, that is something that we're very happy to see, that we're moving away from now using the recycled bottles to now using food grade packaging, proper labeling, and you see the innovation.
Yeah.
Now beekeepers are producing honey that has a comb inside.
Oh wow, I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, there's pollen that is blended with the honey. There is also some soaps that are being developed. There are some wines that are being developed in country. So there's a lot of good ideas that are floating around, and it's only a matter of getting them into the local market and then hopefully to be able to export them.
Well, yeah, no, that's super interesting.
Yeah.
So I was gonna ask about World Bee Day and the virtual event, and if we're gonna see any of those products or innovations being highlighted.
Absolutely. This month we are celebrating World Bee Day on the 20th of May. That is this Thursday. And we've been having a series of events that are leading up to that special day for us. No? And we've had a Tik Tok competition. We've had various advertisements out into the public. And we're going to end up all the activities on this Thursday with a virtual symposium. And in this virtual symposium, we're going to have our partners in development coming and sharing about the work that they have been doing throughout the year, not only in country, but also across the region. And we're also going to have people from the Ministry of Agriculture, Mario and part of his team, also sharing some of the work that has happened in country. We're going to have NGOs such as Yakshe, who are also in the business of beekeeping, sharing their experiences as well. So we are going to have a discussion on all the work that has happened throughout the past years in the actual development of this small industry.
Now, Mario, before we go, I want you to help us understand what we should do if we encounter bees and we're not beekeepers. Because as much as you have highlighted, and the fact that there is a World Bee Day shows that there is a need to focus on protecting and maintaining these populations for food security and all that they contribute. So Mario, when people encounter hives, whether it's in an urban area or a rural area, what should they do? I'm assuming we shouldn't try to kill them on our own.
Okay, that's very right. No, but most importantly, I think when you identify those situations, no, I think if you it's best that you contact us at the Agriculture Department so that we could assess the situation. If the situation can be dealt with immediately, then the department will do it right away. If not, then we have other alternative. If somebody could extract this nest of bees and put it into good use, then we find the way how we could do that. No, but most importantly, I would advise the public not to get in touch or deal with the situation, because if you don't know what you're doing, that would be really dangerous. No?
Yeah.
But the Agriculture Department is there to support in any of these situations. No?
All right. So there we go, the importance of bees. And so the competitions that you have ongoing, you got a Tik Tok competition there, Silvero?
Yes, we do have a Tik Tok competition.
Yeah.
And actually you can go on our Facebook page and you can see all the submissions that we've gotten. And be engaged, and go ahead and like and share the video that you like the most. The competition actually ends at midday today. So hopefully we're going to see some good videos at the end. The whole theme of this year's World Bee Day is be engaged. And we are inviting people to show us how they are engaged in, one, the protection of bees, and also the consumption of honey. When we say be engaged, a lot of people ask us, well, how am I going to get engaged in saving the bees? Well, it's very easy. One of the easiest ways for us to be engaged is by consuming honey from our local beekeepers.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I'm doing my part there. I can be sure of that. So what's your favorite way to eat honey? Let me hear.
Well, I always enjoy my coffee and my teas with some honey. So that's my preferred way.
Okay. And what about you, Mario?
Well, basically the same thing. We try to consume honey every day.
Yeah. Gavin, do you have a favorite way to eat honey?
Yeah, tea.
Okay, tea. Okay, I guess I'll be the anomaly here. I love honey on fresh bread.
Okay, no, I thought you were going to say fried jack. I know that's another
Yes,
thing. That's
that
a good
too.
one.
There. So we've given people so many TikTok ideas right there to submit before midday. But this has been a really interesting and informative conversation. We appreciate you and what you're doing. And of course, keep us updated when you do have those new honey products as well. Stay safe, everybody, and best of luck.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much, guys.
All right. And with that, we're going to go ahead and take a break.
And when we come back, we're going to be talking about adult and continuing education. So please stay tuned.